My dear brothers and sisters in faith, prayer is the breath of the soul, the sacred dialogue between heaven and the human heart. Yet many people pray and wonder why nothing seems to happen. They fast, cry, shout, and wait, but still, the doors of heaven appear silent. But here's the truth. The problem is never that God does not hear. The problem is often how we approach Him. Many delay their own answers without even realizing it. There are spiritual laws that govern prayer, and when we violate them, we interrupt the flow of divine response. Before we go deeper, if you have found this message at the perfect time you needed it, it's not by accident. This is divine timing. Type 1111 in the comments section as a sign of alignment and blessings. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, because every video here carries a word meant to lift your spirit, awaken your faith, and draw you closer to God. Now let's walk together through these 9 mistakes you should never do while praying, because understanding them could unlock what's been delayed in your life for years. 1. Praying without faith. The first and most dangerous mistake in prayer is to speak words you do not believe. Many people pray with passion on their lips, but uncertainty in their hearts. They speak the language of faith outwardly, but inwardly their minds are filled with hesitation and fear. It is like trying to light a candle with no fire. The shape is there, but the substance is missing. True prayer begins not with words, but with conviction. When you pray, you must not only speak your desire, you must see it, feel it, and believe it as already accomplished. Remember what was written, that the one who prays must believe that what they ask for shall come to pass, and it shall be done for them. Faith is the unseen bridge between your mouth and the manifestation of your miracle. Without faith, prayer is merely sound, but with faith, it becomes a divine transaction. Heaven does not respond to empty noise. It responds to belief wrapped in expectancy. When you close your eyes in prayer, see the answer already unfolding in the Spirit. Speak as though the victory has already been delivered to your doorstep. When you do this, your heart aligns with heaven's power, and your words become keys that unlock doors. Prayer without faith is like a seed thrown on stone. It cannot take root. But when faith is present, even a whisper can shake the heavens. 2. Holding unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is like a poison that slowly drains the soul of its peace and power. You cannot hold resentment in your heart and expect heaven to release blessings into your life. When you kneel to pray, God listens not only to your words, but examines the condition of your heart. And when He sees bitterness dwelling there, it becomes a spiritual barrier that blocks divine flow. Forgiveness is not about pretending the wound never happened. It is about refusing to let the wound control your future. When you refuse to forgive, you remain tied to the very pain you want freedom from. The scripture reminds us, if you do not forgive others, neither will your Father forgive you. That means heaven's mercy flows through the same gate you open for others. Every time you withhold forgiveness, you lock yourself in a cell of your own making. Release them, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. When you forgive, you set 2 captives free, the one who hurt you and the one inside you. Before asking God to answer your prayer, check your heart. If there is anyone you still hold in emotional chains, release them. Forgiveness clears the air between you and God, allowing your prayers to ascend unhindered. A forgiving heart attracts favor, while a bitter heart repels it. Let go and watch heaven open in response. 3. Praying without sincerity. Many people pray not to connect with God, but to perform for others. They pray loud, elegant prayers in public, hoping to sound spiritual, yet their hearts are empty of true desire. But God is not impressed by performance. He is moved by purity of intention. You can deceive people with words, but never the one who sees in secret. When your motive in prayer is selfish, Born out of envy, pride, or personal ambition, your words rise like smoke that fades before reaching heaven. True prayer is not a show, it is surrender. It is the moment when you stand unmasked before your Creator, with no pretense, no performance, only truth. There are prayers that sound beautiful but carry no power because they are spoken for display. Yet a single tear shed in quiet honesty can shake the heavens. Sincerity is what turns prayer into worship. It is when your heart whispers what your lips cannot express. Sometimes your groaning speaks louder than your vocabulary. When you come before God with sincerity, your prayer becomes magnetic. It draws divine attention because it mirrors truth. Never approach God with false appearances. He values authenticity over eloquence. The shortest, simplest prayer, spoken from a pure heart, carries more weight than 1,000 rehearsed words spoken for approval. Be real with God, for He already knows your heart. For speaking without listening, prayer was never meant to be a one-way street. Many treat it as a speech, a monologue where they do all the talking, commanding heaven to obey their agenda. But true prayer is dialogue. It is communion, not control. We often pour out our needs, our plans, our fears, and then rush off before allowing God to respond. Yet the most powerful moments of prayer are not always when we speak, but when we listen. After you pour out your heart, stay a little longer in His presence. Be still. Let silence do the talking. Sometimes, the answer you seek is hidden in the quiet moments that follow your prayer. God rarely shouts, He whispers. His voice may come as an idea, an inner peace, or a sudden clarity about what to do next. That gentle nudge in your spirit, that moment when confusion lifts, that is often the voice of God speaking back. But if you are too busy rushing out of prayer, you miss the revelation that would have guided your steps. Listening requires humility. It is saying, Lord, your will above mine. The silence after prayer is not emptiness. It is the womb where wisdom is born. Stay still long enough, and you will hear what heaven has been trying to tell you all along. Doubting God's timing, impatience is one of the quiet destroyers of faith. Many people pray fervently, but then grow weary when the answer delays. They begin to question whether God heard them, whether they were worthy, or whether the miracle was meant for someone else. But delay is not denial, it is preparation. God does not work according to the calendar of human expectation. He works according to divine timing. Every seed has its appointed season to sprout. When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every hour to see if it's growing. You water it and wait. The same applies to prayer. When you pray, believe that your request has already entered heaven's schedule. The silence that follows is not God's absence, it is His process. Sometimes He delays the answer because He is building something greater in you: patience, trust, strength. If He gave you everything instantly, you would never grow into the maturity that can sustain the blessing. Doubting His timing is doubting His wisdom. When you surrender your timeline to Him, peace replaces anxiety. The miracle might already be forming underground, unseen but alive. Wait with faith, not fear. Every divine delay carries purpose, and when the appointed time arrives, what once seemed impossible will unfold effortlessly. 6. Praying only in crisis. For many, prayer has become a last resort instead of a daily rhythm of relationship. They treat God like an emergency number, only dialing when pain hits, when the bills pile up, or when sickness strikes. But prayer was never designed to be used only in desperation. It was meant to be the continuous breath of the soul. When you pray only in crisis, you communicate to heaven that you only need God's hand and not His heart. Yet God desires communion, not convenience. He is not a genie to be summoned in need, but a father who longs for relationship. Consistency in prayer is what keeps your spiritual atmosphere open and aligned. It is the daily conversation that builds faith, intimacy, and strength long before the storm arrives. When you develop the habit of praying, even in seasons of peace, you store up spiritual strength for seasons of battle. You begin to hear God more clearly, not out of panic, but out of connection. Prayer is not about asking all the time. Sometimes it is about resting in His presence, listening and worshiping in gratitude. The strongest believers are not those who pray loudly in trouble, but those who walk quietly with God every day. Make prayer your lifestyle, not your lifeline. When prayer becomes as natural as breathing, you will discover that miracles don't just visit you, they dwell with you. In the constancy of daily communion, answers come swiftly, not because you demand them, but because heaven recognizes a familiar voice. 7. Speaking against your own prayer. This is one of the most overlooked, yet spiritually fatal mistakes. When you pray in faith, then destroy your own prayer through careless words. Many believers pray in the morning, declaring victory, but by afternoon, they are confessing defeat. They say, "Lord, I believe you will do it," and later murmur, "I don't think anything will change." What they don't realize is that the same mouth that plants the seed of faith can uproot it with the weed of doubt. Words are not ordinary, they are spiritual containers. They carry either life or death, faith or fear, power or poison. Every word you speak after prayer either waters your seed or dries it up. When you speak against what you've prayed for, you're essentially canceling your own request before it reaches heaven's court. You cannot build with faith in the morning and destroy with doubt in the evening. After prayer, discipline your speech. Refuse to complain. Refuse to contradict, refuse to fear. Speak as though the answer is already on its way. Declare, "It is done," even if your eyes see nothing yet. The world was framed by words, and your world will be too. Life responds to the language of faith. So let every word that leaves your mouth agree with what you've prayed. Let your confession align with your expectation. When your faith and your speech walk together, manifestation becomes inevitable. 8. Ignoring divine instructions. Many people pray and wait, not realizing that God has already answered, but through an instruction. Divine instructions are heaven's responses in disguise. You may pray for financial breakthrough, and God tells you to bless someone else. You may ask for healing, and He tells you to rest or forgive. You may ask for promotion, and He whispers, "Humble yourself first." But too often, believers reject instructions because they don't make sense to the natural mind. Yet the very thing that seems small or strange may be the key to your miracle. Remember Naaman the leper. He almost missed his healing because he despised the simplicity of the instruction to wash in the river. Many delay their blessings not because God is silent, but because they refuse to obey. Obedience is the shortest distance between prayer and answer. When God gives an instruction, it often tests two things: your humility and your faith. Can you obey when it's uncomfortable? Can you trust when it doesn't make sense? Every instruction carries a hidden reward. God will never ask you to do something that doesn't lead to transformation. The moment you move in obedience, heaven moves with you. The miracle is not in the asking, it is in the doing. When you align your actions with divine direction, your prayers become pathways to manifestation. Always listen for the whisper behind your prayer, for that whisper might contain the key to your deliverance. 9. Lacking gratitude. Gratitude is one of the purest and most powerful languages of heaven. Yet many pray passionately, but forget to thank God both before and after the answer. A prayer life without gratitude is like a river that flows without freshness. It soon becomes stagnant. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. It multiplies blessings because it opens your spirit to recognize God's hand even in small things. When you thank Him for the little, He trusts you with the greater. But when you only complain about what you lack, you block the current of blessing meant for you. Gratitude is not reserved for when everything is perfect. It is most powerful when you can thank God even in the waiting. Thanksgiving turns delay into preparation. It transforms waiting rooms into birthing rooms. Every thank you you whisper in faith builds an altar that heaven honors. The grateful heart attracts divine attention because it mirrors heaven's own joy. Even before you see the answer, thank Him in advance. That is the highest form of faith. When you say, "Lord, I thank you that it is already done," you align your spirit with His will and accelerate manifestation. A thankful heart never runs empty, for gratitude is the magnet that draws miracles continuously. Remember, praise is the sound that opens gates, and gratitude keeps them open. My friend, prayer is not just words, it is alignment. When your faith, heart, and actions agree with heaven, nothing can stand in the way of your breakthrough. Go back, check where you may have missed the mark, and watch how quickly things begin to move again. God is never late. He's only waiting for you to align. And if this message reached you exactly when your spirit needed it, type 1111 in the comments for divine blessings and confirmation. May your prayers begin to manifest. May your faith be restored. And may every delay turn into divine acceleration.